How's it going, everybody? Well, different year, same result. The Green Bay Packers enter the playoffs as the 7th seed, and they fall in the wild card round to the Chicago Bears, 31-27 after another collapse. Their second half collapse, fourth quarter collapse, it doesn't matter. It was a collapse. And this collapse was worse than just a few weeks ago in Chicago. This was going to hurt for a while. It really is. But before I really get into it, I got to tip my hat. I don't have a hat on, but tip my hat to the Bears. Got to give them credit. They were the better team last night, and they clearly showed it that they wanted it more. And it sucks. It sucks. It really does. But the Green Bay Packers, like I said, completely collapsed again. Allowed 25 points in the fourth quarter. Outscored 28-6 in the second half. They were up 21-3, and their offense honestly looked unstoppable. The offense was they were doing whatever they wanted. The defense was playing excellent. The Bears' offense seemed discombobulated. Caleb didn't look good. They were dropping passes. The run game wasn't looking good. And Jordan Love was dicing up a very good Chicago secondary. But unfortunately, Ben Johnson rallied his guys in the locker room, and they came out swinging and stopped the Packers. And yeah, it sucks. It really, really does. And unfortunately, what began as a very, very bright season for the Packers with Super Bowl aspirations, especially after the first 2 weeks, ends in complete heartbreak, complete devastation. And, yeah, just sucks. It just really, really sucks. The Green Bay Packers end their season on a 5-game losing streak, although I'm not really going to say it's 5 games. The Minnesota game really doesn't really count. It was basically a preseason game. Couple other injuries to talk about for this game. Dontavian Wicks and Bo Melton and a couple other guys did not play in this game for the Packers. During the game, the Green Bay Packers lost Edgerrin Cooper, Jacob Monk, and Sean Rhyan. And I think at least the biggest impact, of course, was Coop not being in there. He was playing fantastic. Of course, we'll get into all that. As always, we will start with the offense. Jordan Love, who, in my opinion, this loss is not on Jordan. I thought Jordan played excellent all the way up until the end. He was 24 for 46, 323 yards, 4 touchdown passes. He was sacked just once. I think the play calling was really the issue. Couple drops by the wide receivers. A couple passes near the end of the first half that were just throwaways. And a couple passes that were intentional grounding because the pressure was too heavy. I'm not blaming this game on Jordan. I'm really not. He had the Packers in a position to win all the way up until the end. He really did. On the ground game, Josh Jacobs, he had 19 attempts for 55 yards. Especially in that second half, Josh was not running the ball very well. It seemed that the offense's plan in the second half was just run the ball up the middle, it doesn't go anywhere, and then try a whole bunch of weird things that just weren't working. But running the ball, I kept yelling at the TV, stop running the ball. Put the game in Jordan's hands. Let him throw the ball. The run game was not working. The Bears were throwing bodies all up against the line, and the Bears were doing a very good job, especially in the second half, not allowing Josh Jacobs to do anything. And the Packers just kept going out there and kept trying to run the ball. I get it. The Packers had a big lead. Matt LaFleur wants to run clock. You want to take the air out. I get it. But this Packers team needed to go out there in the second half, and they needed to keep their foot on the throat of the Chicago Bears. And they didn't. They let it up. This offense did not run well in the second half. It was awful. Chris Brooks, Jaden Reed, and Jordan Love, and Emmanuel Wilson, all one rush attempt each. Jaden Reed at the beginning of the game had a nice jet sweep. I don't like jet sweeps, but it worked, and then they didn't run it again. In receiving, Romeo Doubs led the team. He had 8 receptions for 124 yards and a tutty. Matthew Golden, finally got to see Matthew Golden get in the end zone. He had a fantastic game. 4 receptions, 84 yards, and a tutty. And it was a nice tutty. You could tell that young man wanted it. Barreling through Bears, breaking tackles to get in the end zone for what we thought was probably the game-winning touchdown with 4 and something minutes left. It wasn't, but I was so happy, much like all Packer fans, I'm assuming. Matthew Golden finally getting in the end zone. And in a playoff game, nonetheless, against a very tough Bears team. I'm so excited to see what the future holds for Matthew Golden. If he can stay healthy, year 2 Matthew Golden is going to be incredible. Really, in my honest opinion. I'm so excited for the future of Matthew Golden. I really think he's going to be a star next year. I really do. Jaden Reed, 4 receptions, 43 yards and a tutty. And Christian Watson, 3 receptions, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Like I said earlier, no Dontavian Wicks. He's still in concussion protocol. And no Bo Melton. The Packers did elevate Isaiah Nair, although he wasn't really used very much, if not at all. I don't think I recall seeing him at all. Luke Musgrave struggled. Josh Wiley had a catch. It was late in that game. Jordan tossed it to the end zone, and Musgrave wasn't able to make the catch. Probably could have called the PI, but I don't think it really matters. Musgrave wasn't going to catch that damn ball anyway. So that's my personal opinion. Boys, A lot of drops for the wide receivers today or last night, especially on that last drive. Watson, Reed, I think maybe Doubs dropped one too. I can't remember. Matthew Golden was a stud on that drive, though. Yeah, feel like we probably should have used him a little bit more. But whatever, I guess I'll save that for the end of season recap video. Looking at the defense, Edgerrin Cooper led the team in tackles. He had 8 tackles. And Edgerrin Cooper was playing great until he got hurt. And of his loss, once he went out, the defense completely shut down. Tyron Hopper had an interception. I believe that's his first career pick. No, it's not. I'm not sure. And Carrington Valentine had an interception as well. Oladapo had a fumble recovery. That fumble was forced by Lucas Van Ness on a strip sack. I thought overall Lucas Van Ness had a good game, but it did seem like he struggled a lot to get to the quarterback. Rashawn Gary was... I'm not really going to go after Rashawn Gary too much for this game. Although he didn't get to Caleb, he didn't get to the quarterback again. But it seemed like he was close here and there if he wasn't getting choked out. The Bears' offensive line got away with a lot of holds in this game. That's the only thing I'm going to say about it. The Packers almost got to Caleb a couple times, and a lot of holding going on. But again, I don't think it makes a difference. I think the Bears still win, but it was nice to see Gary almost get there. I guess almost getting there is better than really not trying at all, which there were parts in the game where you could tell he just kind of like lightly jogging around. Come on, brother. The secondary struggled big time. Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine outside of the interception. That didn't really matter anyway because It was like, I think it was fourth down anyway, and Packers would have got the ball anyway. The secondary struggled. The Bears were just able to get chunks like here and there so easily. Caleb Williams was just able to wait and then throw 20, 30 yards, and either Loveland was there or DJ Moore. It just didn't matter. They were able to get big chunks kind of whenever they wanted, and the secondary really, really struggled. And it's something the Packers have been dealing with all season. Keyshawn Nixon has more bad games than good games. Carrington Valentine shows flashes, but then he has a lot of time where he struggles. I think Evan Williams struggled today. Xavier McKinney has been, for the most part, kind of really non-existent, in my opinion, in the last couple weeks. Although, he's another guy who has a lot of excellent plays, but they're just not. It's not frequent enough to make a difference, especially after last year with McKinney having all these interceptions and then really kind of a down year for him. But again, I'm getting into stuff that I can cover in a later video. Let's see here. Keyshawn Nixon, again, one more thing I'm going to say about Keyshawn Nixon is the DeAndre Swift touchdown. That man jumped out of the way. He exited stage left. When Swift is going up the middle, Keyshawn Nixon, instead of trying to jump and hit him and attempt to not let him in, just jumps out of the way. Makes a business decision. Just jumps out of the way. What are we doing here, man? You're a professional football player. Stop. You're on defense. Stop the run. Stop the running back. What are you jumping out of the way for? Again. I don't think it matters. He wasn't going to stop Swift. Swift was getting in there no matter what. But it just really sucks seeing a Packers defensive player jump out of the way. If I was Jeff Hafley, I'd have let him have it in the locker room. I'd have called down the field and let him have it. I don't understand what you're doing. Brandon McManus, my friend, brother, 0 for 2 on field goals, 3 for 4 on extra points, left 7 points out on the field. 7 points that would have helped the Green Bay Packers. Especially late in the game when this could have just been a field goal to win the game or a field goal to tie it or whatever it was. Brandon McManus again struggled. And of course, fine. I was talking to my uncle. Yeah, well, that 55-yarder at the end of the half is no. You have field goal kickers who can kick these from 60 yards and they're drilling them. Cam Little kicked a 68-yarder this year. And Brandon McManus, before the half, he made the 55-yarder. And the Bears, they called a timeout, and then he kicked it again and missed. And it's 7 total points left on the field. I don't care if it's 55 and it's in the wind. You trust your kicker, you send him out there, and he needs to make the kick. He needs to make the kick. I'm not saying I can do it. I can't do it. I'm not a professional kicker. Would Lucas Haversick would Haversick have made it? Possibly, I don't know. But McManus again struggling. He ends the season 3 of 9 from kicks over 40 yards. That's not good enough. That's not good enough in my personal opinion. Poisonally. And again, I'm not going to get into the future of Brandon McManus or any of the players on here. I'm going to do a whole separate video on that. But he struggled, and no, it's not acceptable for me. And then Daniel Whelan, he was excellent. He was great like always. In my opinion, Daniel Whelan is the best punter in the NFL, in my personal opinion. Poisonally. And then one more thing before I get into the Bears stats. The Green Bay Packers in 3 games against the Bears this season. In the first half, they allowed the Bears to score 6 points. In the second half and overtime, 68 points allowed. Unacceptable. Just a complete collapse. Again. All right, let's briefly get into the stats, some stats for the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, 24 of 48, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. Again, Caleb Williams making plays happen when they need to happen. The crazy thing about Caleb Williams, this man will make one of the most beautiful, immaculate throws I've ever seen, and then the next 5 throws are overthrown, and they look like crap. If Caleb Williams improves his accuracy, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Seriously. He's that talent is there. If he improves his accuracy, well, watch out. DeAndre Swift, 13 attempts on the ground, 54 yards, and a tutty. Monangai, he had 8 attempts on the ground for 27 yards. Williams had 20 yards on the ground. Loveland, he had 15 targets, 8 receptions, 137 yards. So a lot of key big catches for Loveland in this game. He was a stud tonight. DJ Moore, he had 6 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Zacchaeus, he had a receiving touchdown. Romo Dunze did return in this game, but he was he didn't do anything. He may have been targeted, maybe, if I remember. I don't know. Santos, 3 for 3 on field goals and 2 for 2 on extra points. So the Bears kicker, he hits all of his kicks. So, and all that was enough. And of course, it's another fourth quarter comeback for the Chicago Bears. They have made a living in the fourth quarter. And if only the Bears could learn how to play football in the first 3 quarters, they'd be blowing everybody out by like 50 points. So, I mean, I would expect that to improve next year. I would expect that to improve. I'm going over some overall team stats. Time of possession, the Bears had the ball for 32 minutes and 41 seconds compared to the Packers 27 minutes and 19 seconds. 24 first downs for the Bears compared to the Packers 21. The Bears were 10 of 14 on third down. The Packers were 6 of 15. 2 for 6 on fourth for the Bears, 3 for 3 for the Packers, 2 for 5 in the red zone for the Bears, and 3 for 3 for the Packers. So the Packers better in the red zone, of course. 3 for 3 is great compared to especially the last couple weeks for the Packers. This was big here. 2 penalties for only 5 yards for the Bears, and then 7 penalties for 65 yards for the Packers. Again, the Bears didn't commit penalties. They probably should have been called for a hold 18 times, but whatever. You can call hold on any play in the NFL. Let's be honest. But the Bears being disciplined for the most part. And then total yards, 445 yards for the Bears and 421 yards for the Packers. So, another chapter in this historic rivalry. Even as a Packer fan, it was a historic collapse, and it sucked, and it ripped my heart out, and I'm devastated. But looking at it objectively from a Packer fan, or from a football fan, it was a great game. The Bears just played better at the end, and the better team won. I mean, let's be honest. The Bears will now move on to the divisional round. And they will play either the 5th-seeded Rams, the 3-seeded Eagles, or the 6-seeded Niners. It's 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter here for the Niners, and they just scored a touchdown. So, the Niners now leading the Eagles with 2 minutes and 54 seconds left in Philly. We'll see how that goes. If the Niners win, the Niners will travel to Chicago. If the Eagles win, the Rams will travel to Chicago. The Eagles win, the Eagles will go to Chicago and the Rams will go to Seattle. But we'll see how this all pans out here for that. So either way, the Chicago Bears will host a game in Chicago next week. And then, of course, the Packers, they end their season at 9-8-1 overall. Again, the 7 seed, coming in as a 7 seed, and traveling, again, on the road, wild card weekend, and they lose in heartbreaking fashion. Season recap video. Like I said, I'm going to do a season recap video for the Green Bay Packers. That'll be out before the Super Bowl. I'm gonna see kind of what happens in the next couple weeks here. End of season press conferences and stuff like that. We'll see if the Packers make any moves. I don't think they will. But that'll be out before the Super Bowl. Prediction videos will continue until the end of the season. And the shorts will continue to the end of the season where I have the little helmets and I throw the losers in the big helmet and all the, all that stuff like that. The matchup shorts, those will all continue until the end of the year. And then, of course, recap video near the end of the at the end of this football season, and then we'll do draft stuff and free agency stuff and all that fun stuff. But anyway, that's all for the future. I thank you for watching. If you've been watching all season, if you made it to the end of this video, or you watched all season, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm just a guy in his back room, just making videos for fun about his favorite football team. Favorite football team that broke my heart again. So, the season is over for the Packers. It's been fun. It's been great. We'll talk more about it. But as always, go Pack Go. And also, as always, the Bears still suck.